Okay, hello, and welcome to this premium service exclusive client webinar, which this afternoon we're going to look at the future of customer experience in the food and beverage industry. Now, as hopefully many of you are aware, we are now publishing one big new report every quarter. And so the first edition was on truthful consumerism and how your brand can survive in a world of polarization and post-truth and populism. This quarter, just a couple of weeks ago for you guys, and just earlier last week for our free audience, we released a big report on the future of customer experience. Because we at TrendWatching, we are halfway through 2017, can you believe it? And this gets us thinking about some of the big questions, because we're beginning to start looking forward to what are the big new trends for 2018 going to be. But as we started to look at this question, we started to see that there is amazing innovations happening all through the consumer arena. This year, we've seen the first staffless retail outlets. Like this one here is a Swedish company operating in China. It's a convenience store. We've seen a couple of them in China and WeChat. Amazon famously announcing their Amazon Go store, beta testing in Seattle. But you know, there's all this talk about automation and people being put out of jobs. But the first signals of staffless stores are actually upon us here in 2017. They are opening, customers are going into them as we speak. Also, again, another massive new technology that people thought was years away, automated cars. Again, it's already happening, and probably on an LA freeway somewhere, someone is sitting in there with their adaptive cruise control, listening to a mindfulness podcast, possibly even listening to this webinar. So many of these technologies that seem to be science fiction are becoming fact in 2017. But let's set that for a moment against some other things that are happening in the consumer arena, such as the unicorn Frappuccino released earlier this year by Starbucks. And if you're active on Instagram, you will have seen the unicorn food trend take over your social media feeds as people look for ever more outlandish and outrageous food concoctions. And of course, it's not just pink and purple and sparkly unicorn Frappuccinos. The other side of a coin is the goth latte. Here we have the alternative, one-of-a-kind latte, which you can now show your friends that you are drinking, because normal coffee is just so 2012, isn't it? So we've been asking ourselves, as we see all of these innovations coming across our desk here at TrendWatching, we seem to be in the middle of what we've called the customer experience wars. Shots are being fired on a daily basis. Innovation after innovation is all about how you can better deliver a customer experience, one that customers actually want to embrace everything that your brand has to offer. And we know that customer experience is one of the most important things out there for anyone in any industry, really in any role. 86% of people there, business leaders we see, agree that customer experience is vital for success. In an era of hyper-accelerated change, hyper-competition, hyper-transparency, hyper-empowered consumers, the only thing that you have left as a business is the customer experience that you provide. With that said, and thinking about those examples that I opened with, we believe it's time to share the rules of engagement. Because as we asked ourselves where customer experience is heading, what can we add to all of the literature, all of the thinking around customer experience landscape? And we started to realize that generally innovations fall on one of two pages. And the question you should be asking yourself as a brand is, at any particular moment, you must decide if your brand's offering is a stepping stone on the way to experiences, or if you are providing the actual experience itself. And what we mean by that, to say it another way, is at every single encounter that you provide, you must ask, are you saving customers' attention or are you seizing it? Now, of course, your answer may change over the course of a customer journey. As customers consider whether to purchase your brand, as they actually walk into a shop or visit a website, or engage with it, how they actually purchase it, you may be saving or seizing. As they use it, it may be about convenience, it may be about attention seizing, or of course it may be after the use, as they share it with their friends, with their families, with their social networks, or recommend it to people. Again, ask yourself, are you saving or seizing it? Because if you're doing neither, then you'll end up wasting customers' attention. And that, quite frankly, in today's expectation economy, is simply unforgivable. So, at the first side of this coin, what do we mean when we talk about attention saving being the future of customer experience? What we're really talking about is an automated, data-powered, seamless, almost invisible to the consumer experience. That is a CX strategy for the future. A customer experience that is automated, data-powered, seamless, and happily forgotten. So, why now? Why do customers prize convenience more so today than they did, say, 5 or 10 years ago, right? Because of course, convenience is a basic, fundamental human desire and need, right? It's been around forever. Customers have always wanted the brands and businesses that they buy from to make their lives more convenient. So why now? What is upping the ante when it comes to attention saving? Driver number one that we want to share here today is that basically it is now a status symbol to be busy, right? The busier you are, the higher status you are perceived as having by many people. Now we can debate back and forward whether this is actually right, but the data is unarguable. If you look at the underlying data, it used to be that the richer you were, the less you worked, the more leisure time you have. If you look at what's happened over the past 40 or 50 years, since the mid-1970s, the richer you are, the better educated you are, the more you work, right? And just one stat here, in the US, Americans with a bachelor's degree or above work 2 hours more each day than those without a high school diploma. And there are loads of reasons driving this. The growth of the creative class, more interesting, more stimulating work, managerial professions, etc. Being able to work from anywhere, as we saw that slide of people working in Starbucks. But what it means is increasingly society, the people around you, see you as being of high status, as being a valuable individual in society if you are very busy. And so you naturally, if you're very busy, what do you need? You need time-saving hacks. You need time-saving solutions to make your life better. On the other hand, let's bring it back to the food and beverage industry. Right, again, over the last decades, we've seen innovation after innovation adding greater and greater convenience to the making, the ordering, the purchasing, the consuming of food and beverage. Right, from online ordering to meal kits to pre-prepared ready meals in the supermarket to the massive expansion of the delivery segment of the market. Right, over the last 10 years, the options available, convenient options available, dramatically. And in fact, there was a study done earlier this year by Lux Research that showed that if you look at if you like, the convenience value chain in the food and beverage industry. As we said, moving from going to a supermarket yourself to buy the goods yourself in person, to ordering them online, having them delivered to you, to buying a pre-prepared, pre-weighed out meal kit, all the way through to delivery from a restaurant of hot food. Right? On average, consumers are willing to pay 11% more for each added layer of convenience in that food chain. Right, so this is a real phenomenon that's happened and continues to happen over the last decade and will continue to happen. And of course, another massive driver here is, again, think of one of the other huge mega trends that's happening in the consumer arena here today. It is that customers are increasingly aware of their health, their well-being, and they're looking to brands to help give them convenient solutions that keep them healthy. Right? The skepticism and the fear and the awareness of big agriculture and factory farming and the damaging effect of mass production on your health and wellness is increasing throughout the consumer arena, and people are looking for time efficient, convenient ways to stay healthy, to stay well. So that's just a couple of examples of some of the big consumer drivers. And how do we see the market responding? What are some of the innovations? What are some of the activities happening in the business arena that show us that consumers are chasing after, are pursuing convenient, time and attention saving food options? Well, number one, look at things like Blue Apron and Delivery Hero. Blue Apron, the meal kit company in the US, just filed for an IPO in New York. Delivery Hero operates in over 40 countries, but based over in Germany. Right? Two huge companies going for multi-billion-dollar stock market valuations when they list. Right? These are companies that are maturing, both set up in the last 5 or 6 years. Could not mention this, do this webinar without mentioning Amazon. Of course we couldn't, right? Massive news at the back end of last week, where they announced that they would be moving into the grocery sector, buying Whole Foods, right? If you look at what Amazon are doing over the past 12 months, everything has been building up to this, from Amazon Go, the staffless stores that we saw earlier. Here, earlier this year, they also announced the first Amazon Fresh pickup outlet in Seattle. So this is a bit like a drive-through fast food restaurant, but instead of fast food, it's delivering the groceries. You place the order online, you drive into the bay as little as 15 minutes later. So someone does the shopping for you in the store, it's ready for you in 15 minutes, you come out, you drive in, they drop it in your car, you drive off. Everything Amazon does is about increasing convenience for their customers, and that is why their acquisition of Whole Foods is going to cause such ripples throughout the industry, because they are the absolute masters of convenience. And you know, as we always say at TrendWatching, once someone has set customer expectations within the industry, increasingly difficult, if not impossible, for other businesses not to at least meet those expectations. So you need to be thinking, are you as convenient? Are you as fast? Are you as efficient as Amazon? And again, we see many new companies coming into the market that are actually just totally disrupting the very thinking around convenience and what that means to the food and beverage industry. So Soylent, which is the meal replacement drink company, that has had a couple of bumps in the road. They've had to recall some of their powder, some of their drinks after it was making people sick. But basically what Soylent do is they produce this drink, as you can see on the slide there, and drink it, and it contains all the nutrients, all the minerals that will keep you healthy, but it takes you mere seconds. There's no preparation and there's no cooking, etc. So you can get on with living your life. And they just last month, just a couple of weeks ago, have raised over $50 million from people like Google Ventures as well to expand production and expand their services and distribution. We've got new types of food. We've got new distribution mechanisms, but we've also got new production facilities happening as well. So this is a robot. This robot's called Sally, and it's produced by a company called Chowbotics. And this is like a vending machine for salad. So you have all of your raw ingredients, and you come up and it has a touch screen, and you, the customer, you press exactly what you want in your salad, and it dices it within 1 minute. And of course, think about it. This is not just convenient, it's also more hygienic because no one's handling your salad. And we've just got a very, very short GIF of this in action. So look at this. This is the robotic salad maker that, again, as you can see there, you as the customer, you press what you want. 1 minute later, the exact salad is delivered for you to your specifications. Think about that. What does that do for customer expectations around personalization, hygiene, and convenience? Again and again, we see companies looking to strip out any unnecessary element in the customer journey. So here we have YouFood Grill, and in their Maryland branch, earlier this year, they've added the option to to store your face. So as you walk in, you order at the kiosk. If you want to, it's opt-in. It will take a photo of you, and the next time you come to order at the fast food outlet, you can walk in. It will compare your face to a photograph it's taken and ask you if you want to reorder the same thing you had last time. Right? So it just stores you, recognizes you. You don't have to put in your credit card or anything like that. Just using a facial recognition system rates how quickly you can order your regular order. So these are some of the obvious ways that brands are tackling convenience in the food and beverage industry. Now I just wanted to leave you, just finish this half of the webinar with a couple of examples of slightly more creative, slightly more novel ways that brands are going out there and saying, we understand the pain points that exist in the food and beverage industry. Right, so here's a fantastic example from Tesco's, the UK-based supermarket, who have recently added an option to, if you are vegan, if you're halal, if you're gluten intolerant, right, and you're doing your online shop, you can actually apply a filter that says, only show me the entire range that I can eat, right? That adhere to my beliefs, adhere to my preferences, right? So taking the effort away from the customer and saying, you don't have to check the ingredients, you don't have to read the small print, you can just you can just browse freely, and you will know that all the products and all the products that we are showing you in the online shop are okay for you to eat. And another, again, totally different example, thinking about this in a very different way. Again, think about how you could increase convenience in the communications channels that you have with your customers, or in the case of this example here from Australia, in the case of your employees. So McDonald's in Australia created a Snapchat filter where you could overlay yourself in a McDonald's uniform. You could create a short 10-second clip applying, saying why you wanted the job at McDonald's. And if it was approved, you would come through into the formal traditional interview process. But think about how you can reach out using new platforms, using new technologies to engage your customers in a more convenient, more informal, faster mechanism, faster way. What next? Where can you get inspiration from when you're thinking about how to increase the level of convenience and remove the level of pain points, effort, thinking, time that your customers have to spend with you? So in the premium service that you have access to, there's a whole mega trend, ephemeral, all about time and consumer attitudes towards time. So do head online to the innovations database, select food and beverage, or don't select food and beverage, just select ephemeral and look at some of the innovations from other industries and see how innovators in other industries are playing with, catering to customers' desire around time and time compression. Beside that, we've also got some very, very specific trends that I'd highly recommend you guys check out. And you'll be able to find them in the links to this presentation. If you want to download this presentation, you'll be able to find direct links to these. But we have a trend called choice cuts, which again is all about innovative ways to reduce the cognitive load, reduce the effort that customers need to put into when they're thinking about or considering your product or service. Another great trend to check out, right? Think back to the Amazon example. Amazon have been relentless about increasing the value that they offer to their Amazon Prime customers. And as we know, they have tens of millions of customers to Amazon Prime who spend more and more money with Amazon because they're embedded in their brand ecosystem, right? So think about how you can lavish perks and rewards and other benefits to your most regular customers, right? Because then they don't have to think, they won't even think about choosing alternatives because they'll be loyal and they'll be engaged and that you'll just be front of mind to them. And then again, think to examples like that example that we saw in Australia from McDonald's. Think about how you can use new messaging platforms, social media platforms to speak more informally, more casually, more essentially faster to your customers, right? How can you engage them quicker, easier, more conveniently? Okay, so that is attention saving, freeing your customers up, saving their attention in order that they can get on and live their lives as they want to do so. So we said there were two halves of the customer experience coin, and the second half is attention seizing, because this is all about your customers wanting to collect experiences, but not just any experience. They want to collect the best, the most exciting, the most interesting experiences for them. And again, just as we did last time when we looked at attention saving, let's look at why attention seizing is the flip side of this coin. Why is it so important for consumers, for those experiences that they really truly value? Why do they care so much about them? Why is this such an important thing to focus on if you're a business? Well, the main reason, right, is because we now live in an experience economy, right? We've seen this over the past 2 decades or even longer. Consumers, one of the biggest macro shifts in the economy is the increasing share of wallet and of course share of attention that has gone away from material goods and on intangible experiences, right? And as you can see on the picture in front of you, we are now this economy that is getting so extreme it borderlines on the ludicrous at times, right? So this is the restaurant. This is a real photo. You can go and it's a pop-up dining club. It tours the world and you can go and dine hanging off a crane in the sky. I mean, this is obscenely ridiculous, right? But it is unique. It is interesting. It is one of a kind, extreme experience. And of course, food, right, has been one of the biggest beneficiaries of the experience economy. Spending on eating out, travel, it's these experiences that are what consumers choose to lust after in today's economy, right? This is a picture of Noma, who the best restaurant in the world. They closed up their main site in Denmark. They've taken the entire restaurant, staff, children, everyone, right down to the pot washer, to Mexico for a 7-week pop-up restaurant in Mexico. They had, the tickets were $600 per person. They sold out in 3.5 hours, right? For consumers today, for affluent, urban, connected consumers, food is one of the biggest experiential factors in their lives today. Why? It's really part of the same, it's all part of the same mega trend, right? Again, experiences are valuable because they're interesting, they're exciting, they need to constantly be repeated. And a large, massive part of that supercharged that over the past 10 years has been the rise of social media, right? The ability to show off to those people around you, those people who you may have only met a couple of times, those people you've never met who follow you on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, Snapchat. Look at what I'm doing. Look at what an interesting person I am. And we can see there the unicorn food trend of 2016, heading into 2017, as we saw earlier, when Starbucks released the unicorn Frappuccino. Right? This is a classic example of customers wanting to have these one-of-a-kind, very shareable, very memorable experiences because of the status boost they get from it. And of course, you guys know, who listen to us often, who read us often, we are obsessed with social status as being the core driver of consumer behavior. Of course, the final driver, right, we don't need to say too much about this. New technologies are changing the way people eat, the way people experience food, right? And we're starting to see, from virtual reality and augmented reality and all the other realities and technologies coming into the marketplace, will change how people experience food and how, more importantly, how they experience experiences and how they share those experiences, as we've just seen. Look at a couple of examples of how companies are creating memorable, interesting food and beverage products, experiences, campaigns, right, to capture consumer attention. Here is a fantastic example from Cathay Pacific, the airline based in Hong Kong, who partnered with a local Hong Kong-based craft brewer to create a special craft beer that is designed to taste better at 35,000 feet, designed to be drunk while in flight. And they only served it first class. Right? So think about that. Classic example of making something exclusive, making it interesting. People are going to talk about that because it's different. Doritos in Brazil, when they were launching a new flavor, they partnered with a local retailer to launch these bags of mystery crisps. They didn't tell anyone what flavor it was. Again, for social media, tailor-made to get people talking about that experience. Right? Look at these Dorito chips I've just had. No one else knows what flavor they are, but I do because I've eaten them. Limited edition, but I've experienced them. I'm in the know. I'm an interesting person. That's what consumers want to show off, want to tell, the stories that they want to tell to each other. We've seen Snapchat used to save time and make interactions with a brand more convenient. Here's a different flavor of a similar example where this French supermarket, what they did is they proved how fresh the fish in the supermarket was by creating Snapchat stories. So you went to the fish counter, you could the code that triggered one of the Snapchat stories, which of course we all know only last for 24 hours, and you could watch a video of the fish that you were about to buy bought by the fisherman. So proving to customers that this fish is less than 24 hours old. Again, it's a bit of a marketing stunt, but think about how that clever use of an existing platform really will grab consumers' attention and get them talking about it. Another example of technology being applied in creative ways to enhance the customer experience, not about provenance, not about freshness here, but this is a luxury hotel in London where in the bar they created a special cocktail menu where each cocktail had an accompanying virtual reality experience. So it could actually take you to where the whiskey had been distilled, right? If you're drinking a whiskey cocktail, and give you that richer story, that richer connection, right? Because if you're going to spend £20, right, on a cocktail, nearly $30 on a cocktail, right? You want to commit to that experience. You want to really live that experience in a very memorable and immersive way. Again, similar campaigns. This was an art collective in Japan who partnered with a steak restaurant to create this private dining room where you could go and have a multi-sensory dining experience with sound and smell and noise and visuals to enhance the eating experience. But of course, you're not going to eat every meal like this, right? You might drink a Soylent for breakfast, right? Because you want to save time, you want to get to work. But then when you go out for dinner, when you decide to have an experience, you want it to be as memorable, as exciting, as incredible, as interesting as it can possibly be. So as we said at the beginning, think about one thing, be one thing or the other. Don't get stuck in the middle. Another example from Asia, right? Here we have Coca-Cola. So it's not just luxury brands dipping their toe in the water of immersive creative experiences. When Coke in China wanted to launch a whole range of new flavors, they were launching 27 new flavors. And they partnered with a cinema chain. And what they did is they brainwave scanning headsets. So as you watched the film, it would scan your brain and it would recommend a relevant flavor of this new Coke, one of the 27 flavors that are now on offer, in order to match the perfect flavor to your mood, to your brainwaves. Right? Of course, that is a ridiculous stunt. Right? It's not mass market. It's not going to change the way they retail every single can of Coke throughout China. But can you see that that is a memorable, exciting experience that customers who engage with that experience, who have that experience, will talk about, will share? And I just wanted to end with one final example that says, of course, this isn't just about virtual reality and reading people's brainwaves, right? If you think about where the food industry is headed, right, just look at something like Impossible Burgers, right? Impossible Foods are the startup who have created a plant-based burger. So that burger that you can see on the screen in front of you contains no meat. And they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars over the past years. They've had a couple of prototypes. They started serving it in Momofuku in New York and a handful of other heights. But recently announced just 2 months ago that they were opening a new factory which will increase production 250 times and massively increase the volume of burgers that they'll be able to produce during this year, up to 4 million burgers a month. So new technology is coming into the food industry. It's going to disrupt everything that we know, and it's going to, at least in the short term, wow customers. And so think about whether, how and why and where you can give customers a really, really memorable experience. So where next? Again, right, just as we did before with attention saving, entire mega trend in our database, one of the, in fact, the most fundamental trend out of all of our trends is status seekers. Right? We said before, the search for social status drives everything in the consumer arena. So do check out Status Seekers as of your first point of call when you're thinking about drilling into how and why and what the customers want out of these memorable experiences. Full of other very specific, much more focused trends there you can see on your screen as well. So trends like leaps of faith, right? Asking customers to trust you and take them on a real, exciting, unexpected journey of discovery. Virtual experience economy, right? We've been looking at this a lot over the past year or so, the how and why and where the virtual and augmented reality will change the way customers interact in the experience economy, which, as we said, is one of the biggest trends over the past 20 years. And then, of course, just wanted to throw in the old idea of pop-upping. It's one of our oldest trends. It still works, right? This idea of setting up a time-limited, exclusive, exciting physical manifestation of a new product, of a new service, of a new initiative. Right? So think about how you could reach out to customers in a creative, meaningful, impactful, physical way. So there's a couple of trends to get going with to start you on your journey to inspiration around how you can seize consumer attention. Now, we're nearly at the end, very nearly at the end, but I just want to end with a quick note reminding you, of course, that we said you had one big fundamental question to ask. Are you saving customer attention or are you seizing it? And of course, right, the truth is, you, as we said before at the beginning, you will not be doing exclusively one or the other. Sometimes a company like McDonald's is trying to save customers' attention, increase the convenience for them. Right? As we've seen, their activities on Snapchat, right, making it easier for people to get in touch with them, making it quicker, faster to order. There will be other times when McDonald's want to grab your attention as a customer. They want to bring their product or service to life in an interesting, experiential way, right? Just think about something like Netflix as well, or a meal kit business, right? Sometimes they're all about convenience, but at other times they're all about using product, capturing your attention, and engaging you to new levels, right? That's why, as we said, this whole topic is about picking a side at each stage of the customer journey and going hard on doing one thing or the other, because if you get stuck in the middle, you will waste customers' time, you will waste their attention, and they will not forgive you for it. With that, thank you very much for tuning in. Really delighted that you were able to listen to this topic. If you have any comments or questions, the last few times we've done this, we haven't had too many questions. So if there aren't any questions, I will wrap up. The webinar will be available for you in the portal. If you do have any questions that you want to address to us privately, if you want us to come in and deliver this service to just your team and work through how to put this into action, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Feel free to email me on henry@trendwatching.com. And with that, I will sign off and wish you a fantastic afternoon. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.